Good morning. Welcome to September. Hope everybody had a good end to their summer, and the fall is going to be interesting. Like to also welcome any members of public that are joining us this morning, and I'd ask Mr. Tifo to take the roll call, please.
Thank you. Councillor Arnold. Present. Thank you. Councillor Bird. Present. Thank you. Councillor Bouchy. Here. Thank you. Councillor Bradley.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Broad. Present. Thank you. Councillor Cook. Present. Thank you. Councillor Ferguson. Present. Thank you. Deputy Warden Hand. Present. Thank you. Councillor Loosely. Present. Thank you. Councillor Miller. Present. Thank you. Councillor Napper. Honored to be here, sir. Thank you. Councillor Rombouts. Present. Thank you. Councillor Stark. Present. Thank you. Councillor Veen. Present. Thank you. Councillor Weber.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor White.
Present.
Thank you. And of course, Warden Marriott. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. At this time, I'd ask any member of council to disclose any pecuniary interest now or as it arises during the meeting. Seeing none, I'd take a motion to go in camera for the reasons noted on the agenda. Deputy Warden Hand, seconded by Councillor Loosely. All in favor? That's carried. At this time, we'd ask any, I guess there's no members of public in the gallery, so we can proceed. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. We're running a little late. Call the open session to order and take a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you. I would ask Mr. Van Horn for rising report of the in-camera session, if any. Or, sorry, Mr. Tifo, I guess.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Council met in camera this morning for slightly a little over 30 some odd minutes to address a number of matters. One, a personal matter involving the CAO. Two, council provided instructions with respect to a lease to be entered into with the province of Ontario at Bayside Centre. And three, council provided instructions to respond to an invitation that was sent into the county to discuss potential disposition of lands located in St. Clair. That's my report.
Thank you. And on to number 8, Board of Health, our update from Dr. Renaday. Are you online, Dr. Renaday? There he is. Welcome, Dr. Renaday. Looking forward to your report this morning.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
It doesn't get old. So, hi, everyone. Thank you, Warden. Good morning, everyone. There's not really that much to talk about. And I think that this is important to remember, right? Because a lot of the other COVID updates that we've been giving, the content and the urgency and all of the other things around it are really changing, right? And so just keep that in mind as we go through this. At the last update at the end of August, there had been 78 cases since the last update before that, right? That's not a high number, given what we've all been through and given the dramatic ups and downs, but it's important to remember, again, that any of those numbers are an underestimate, right? Because there are lots of people with symptoms who aren't getting tested, lots of people who are taking rapid tests, and those are not reportable. And so this is really only a reflection of the people who are getting, the lab-based test that is reported to public health. And so at that time, at the end of August, there were 3 small institutional outbreaks. But I would expect that by the time now that we're talking about, it being September 7th, and many of those were started at the middle of August, that they're either resolved or on the way to being resolved by now. And certainly they've not escalated in their scale, the ones that we had. And so that's also, reasonable and consistent with what we've seen in a highly vaccinated population, right? That the burden of disease is just much lower. Not that people are not getting the disease, but the symptoms are not as severe. There's far fewer hospitalizations and so forth. The 2 big things that you need to know about, and you probably are aware already, but just a refresher. One is that there are what we call bivalent vaccines that are coming out for COVID. And what that means is that the original COVID vaccines had mRNA for one strain, the original strain, you could call it. But, further doses of vaccine, or the ones that are coming out now, also include mRNA for the Omicron strain, right? And so the ones that are coming out now have the BA1 strain. Future applications are for vaccines that have the BA4, BA5 strain. So now what does that mean, right? A few things. The important thing is that if this is starting to sound to you a lot like flu vaccines, then you're right? That's really where you're going to see this going, which is that the vaccines that have more than one component are going to start to replace the earlier ones that have one component only. But also that means that, by the time you set up and put something into a vaccine and license it and approve it, it's quite possible that either that strain will already have gone around, or that what you really need to be doing is thinking about the other future strains that aren't that aren't covered in the vaccine. So what's going on now is I think you're going to start seeing only marginal benefits through increased vaccination, because the main job, the bulk of the job of reducing mortality, reducing hospitalizations has been really essentially done by the original series of vaccines, right? And now it's a question of seeing how long does that protection last? Probably a fairly long time. And also thinking about, are there, do there continue to be, particular groups in whom additional vaccination would be, particularly beneficial, right? And so, there might be an argument around people who are severely immunocompromised. There might be an argument around people who are very elderly and in congregate care settings. But beyond that, even if you look at the outbreaks that we've had in congregate settings to date, the burden is much reduced with the immunization program that we've had. So I think over time, you're going to see these vaccines starting to look a lot more like flu vaccines, which means that their indication, which will also be more like flu vaccines than like other vaccines, right? Which is that when you get the flu vaccine, is it possible that you'll get a different strain of flu that's going around? Yes. Does it help to provide some protection against severity of disease? Yes. And that's probably where we're going to go with these vaccines as well. You'll also note that there has been a recent removal of any required isolation periods for people who test positive for COVID. And that's also consistent with a few things. One, consistent with changes in the burden of disease that we know. Two, it's consistent with, there's some changes in the guidance, especially for people who test positive, but they're asymptomatic, because, there's emerging evidence that truly asymptomatic people who test positive for COVID either don't have COVID, or if they have COVID, they're unlikely to spread it to other people. So that's helpful. Finally, the other part about removing isolation periods, or why it's consistent with where we need to go and makes a lot of sense to me, is that what was happening before, when you have this discordancy between what happens to you if you know you have COVID versus what happens to you if you have symptoms that maybe you don't get a test, right? Places kind of an unfair burden on people who actually take the test to see if they have COVID. Because now once you've got a positive test result, the guidance is requiring you to do things that people who might have symptoms but don't take the test are not required to do, right? And so this brings that in line with whether or not you get the test, the guidance is the same. If you have symptoms of any kind, you should be removing yourself from, hanging out with other people, but otherwise, to the extent that you feel well enough to participate, you carry on. And that's consistent then with any kind of respiratory symptom. And it's manageable, understandable, and kind of fair, for lack of a better term, especially now where we are in the pandemic. So those are the things that I wanted to make sure that you knew about or were updated on. I think that with respect to COVID, that's all I have. I know that, generally this has been about COVID, but just to let you know, I think you're also aware that we did have one case of monkeypox, and that, we did the normal public health work around that, contact tracing, et cetera, and offering of vaccines as post-exposure prophylaxis to people who qualified by their exposure. And now there's also a campaign with respect to pre-exposure prophylaxis with monkeypox vaccine for eligible groups. But I think it's important to remember that vaccine and how that works, there's really, really, really limited evidence on it. And so this is just a tool that we have that we're going to use, but we're also not sure how well it works or what it works for. So I think I'll leave that there and hand it back to you. Thanks, Warden.
Thank you, Dr. Renaday. Questions, Councillor Bird.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. Through the chair to Dr. Renaday. I'd just like your opinion on something. Following the news over the last couple of months, people are really concerned with all the sudden death syndrome. So many young people are dying suddenly, and you look up the cause and it says no cause of death. How can we have so many people dying, doctors, young people, and it shows no cause of death? This is really concerning to the general public. I wondered if you have any comments on that.
Dr. Renaday, please.
Sure. Thanks, Councillor. I don't have comments on it because I've not actually seen any evidence coming through our channels that this is actually happening. So if I were to see that, we'd have to do some kind of evaluation as to whether or not that data was actually accurate. The other thing, though, is there are, in any given age range, there are a substantial proportion of deaths for whom cause will not be able to be determined, right? If it's not an infectious disease or it's not an obvious cause, or there was a diagnosed heart condition or something like that, there are some at least that you just won't know unless there's an actual, an autopsy or a pathology report or toxicology and so forth. And that doesn't always get done in every case. But I can't speak to the specific scenario that you're describing because I haven't seen any evidence of it myself.
Thank you, but I think it's also that the deaths are sudden. So even if there was some pre-existing condition in somebody, usually that takes time before the eventual cause of death. But for everything that we've been following in the news locally, I've actually known some people too that this has occurred with. So that these people all, according to the news, these people are all dying suddenly. No prior notice of this at all, no suffering, no disease, nothing at all. It's just so many people that it's happening to. So, and then to state no cause of death, I'm just really concerned about that. As I said, I've known people personally, so it's around the world it seems to be happening. And especially the last 2 months, the numbers have really increased. So that's why I was wondering what your thoughts were on that. So thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Renaday? Seeing none, thank you again, Dr. Renaday, and we'll look forward to your next report. Hopefully it's as quiet as this one.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 9, we have no delegations. Number 10, minutes of open session of July the 6th, moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Miller. All in favor? That's carried. Number 11, correspondence. We have 5 items. We have a motion to receive and file all 5. Councillor Ferguson moves, seconded by Councillor Veen. All in favor? That's carried as well. Thank you. Number 12, 2 information reports. Do we have a motion? Councillor Bird? Okay. Do we have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Veen and Councillor White. Go ahead, Councillor Bird.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. So further to my waste to energy motion that was tabled from, I believe it was July, to be presented again in October, at the October 5th meeting, I would like to move that we table this information report until the same meeting, because the 2 items are married together. My motion was tabled in order to get this report, so they should be discussed at the same meeting. So I just move that we move it till, or table it until October 5th, please.
Do we have a seconder for that tabling motion? Councillor Arnold. No discussion on that. So that is on number A. So
That's right.
we move to B, which is information report regarding municipal elections. Okay. Okay, yeah, sorry, forgot that it's not debatable, but we still have to vote on that. So motion to, or all in favor to table the motion? 1, 2, 3. Opposed? Oh, that's close. Okay, we'll do a recorded vote. With the weighted votes, it's... Okay, so those in favor of tabling the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. So B, do you have a motion to receive and file B? Councillor Miller moves, second by, sorry, did I miss some? Oh, Councillor Arnold. All in favor? It's carried. And
Are we,
sorry, Councillor Weaver.
It's hard doing this on Zoom when everybody else is there. Did we just do B, A regarding the strong mayor's report? Did I?
Yeah, that's the one we were
That we
receiving
just carried without questions. Okay. Maybe I'm still far behind. I guess I'd like to speak to Corporate Services Division, item A, Bill 3 regarding the strong mayor. I think, are we past that, or?
No, you can still comment on it.
There's just a comment on the report, and I believe this has taken the province down the wrong path, and I would like to see the county send a letter to our members and asking that they don't support this bill. I think this is the ending of democracy. One person, one vote is the way it's always been. I have not seen the evidence how having a strong mayor is going to build more homes. I think each council wants to get housing on the line and go forward. And I don't see mayor should have the opportunity to hire and fire CAOs or others. And I know that this is only for City of Toronto and the City of Ottawa, but I know it's been expressed, or I've heard that it's been expressed that lots of other cities and municipalities would like to have the same opportunity. So I would, if it's in order, I would move a motion that we send a letter of objection to this, to the province from the County of Lambton, if I can get a seconder for that.
If there's a desire for that, a seconder, is that Councillor White seconds it? Okay. Discussion on the motion? Deputy Warden Han.
Just a comment to Councillor Weber. Toronto and Ottawa now with the potential of adding more. So it's a slippery slope, in my opinion.
Yep, that's.
Any further discussion? Councillor Stark.
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Okay. Are we ready for that? I'll ask Mr. Tifo to, Councillor Ferguson.
Clarify the question.
Sure. If you could clarify the question, Mr. Tifo, please.
Yes, it is moved by Councillor Weber, seconded by Councillor White, that the Corporation of the County of Lambton write our local Lambton County Member of Parliament to communicate Lambton County Council's opposition to Bill 3.
Councillor Rumboats.
Yes, we want to write to both our members of parliament. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I?
Councillor Weber.
Can I add that be sent to the Premier as well, and other MPs or whatever offices we would normally send a letter, I guess, copy?
Yeah, sure. Call the vote, Mr. Tifo.
Yep, so I'll reread the motion. It's moved by Councillor Weber, seconded by Councillor White, that the Corporation of the County of Lambton write both members of provincial parliament within Lambton County, the Premier Ford and Minister Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, to communicate Lambton County Council's opposition to Bill 3. And it is requested by Councillor Stark that it be a recorded vote. And we will start with Councillor Cook. That's a yes. I have Councillor Cook. Councillor Ferguson? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Ferguson. Deputy Warden Hand?
Yes.
I have a yes. Deputy Warden Hand. Councillor Loosely?
Yes.
Councillor Loosely, I have a yes. Councillor Miller?
Yes.
Councillor Miller, I have a yes. Councillor Napper?
Yes.
I have a yes. Councillor Napper. Councillor Rombout?
Yes.
I have a yes. Councillor Rombout. Councillor Stark?
Yes.
Councillor Stark, I have a yes. Councillor Veen?
Yes.
Councillor Veen, I have a yes. Councillor Weaver?
Yes.
Councillor Weaver, I have a yes. Councillor White?
Yes.
Councillor White, I have a yes. Councillor Arnold?
Yes.
Councillor Arnold, I have a yes. Councillor Bird?
Yes.
Councillor Bird, I have a yes. Councillor Boucher? Yes. Councillor Boucher, I have a yes. Councillor Bradley?
No.
Councillor Bradley, I have a no. And Councillor Broad?
Yes.
Councillor Broad, I have a yes. And Warden Marriott?
Yes.
I have a yes. That carries.
Okay. That brings us to item B, under B, information report regarding the municipal elections, nominations, and county council status. How would you like to receive and file this? Deputy Warden Hand moves, second by Councillor Cook. All in favor? That's carried. And item number 13, we have minutes from Tourism Sarnia Lambton minutes dated June the 2nd. Do we have a motion to receive and file those? Councillor Miller and Councillor Rumbouts. All in favor? That's carried. I have no reports requiring a motion. Under 14, and that takes us to 15, I'd ask Councillor Arnold, please.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. I present the committee meeting minutes from August the 8th, the AM 18th, I apologize, the AM committee minutes for your consideration.
Thank you. Number 1, under infrastructure and development, is information reports. Number 2 is a report regarding the updated appointments bylaw for inspectors. Number 3 is correspondence that was received and filed. Number 4, the information report regarding monkeypox. Number 5 was Cultural Services Division information reports. Number 6 was reports requiring a motion regarding increasing security at Sarnia Library. Number 7 was a report regarding libraries donations. Number 8 was a report regarding museums, gallery, and archives collections. And number 9 was adjournment. Councillor Arnold, please.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. I move this day's minutes.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Broad. All in favor? That's carried. PM committee minutes, Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. I'd like to present to Council the model of efficiency and preparation for Committee PM on August the 18th to be received and filed.
Thank you. Under long-term care division, information reports. Under finance and facilities and court services division is number 2 is information reports. Number 3 is social services division information reports. And number 4 was adjournment. I believe this meeting was a record-setting short session. Councillor Ferguson, please.
Committee PM meetings for August 18th.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Miller. All in favor? That's carried. Item number 16, we have no items tabled from previous meetings. And number 17, notice of motion by Councillor Stark. Councillor.
I move that we refer the notice of motion to the next meeting.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnold? All in favor? That's carried. I should say anybody opposed to that? It's carried. Oh, but it is carried. Thank you. Number 18, we have no other business unless council has some other business. Councillor Rumbouts.
Yes, I just wanted to bring to County Council's attention a concern that I have in my municipality regarding the ambulance services and one particular incident that happened at a local event. We had a our Corn Fest. It was very widely attended, and we had a young girl have a seizure during that event. And it took, I don't know the exact time, but it was well over 15 minutes for an ambulance to arrive to the scene, which was quite embarrassing for our municipality. And I'm just wondering if we could get a report on the time and how we can improve that, particularly in the summer months when it seems that our ambulance gets pulled away from our community to assist with other communities. So we want to make sure that that doesn't continue happening in our municipality and in others. These times are too long, in my opinion. So if I could request that a report come to County Council on how we can improve the services, I would appreciate it.
Okay. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnold. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So I guess Mr. Taylor will look after this. Okay, thank you. Any other business? Councillor Bradley.
Yes, Mr. Warden and to County Council. A question to the long-term care director, and perhaps the answer is not available yet, but is there any sense of the impact of the new legislation that can direct people out of hospitals to long-term care facilities without the sort of debate that went on before? Do we have any sense of what might happen in this community to those old age homes?
Ms. Joris, please.
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Bradley. I do have a report coming to next committee regarding the changes that have resulted from Bill 7. I don't see that it's going to make a huge change to our county operated homes because we are at capacity most of the time, and we also do have a long wait list. However, those people on our wait list, it may affect them who are in the hospital because we are at capacity. So that report will be coming to the next committee.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other business? Councillor Arnold.
Thank you, Warden Marriott, members of the County Council. I'd just like to thank everyone for their support of the 100th plowing match in Lambton County last Saturday. We had the most people that I've ever seen at a banquet and the most municipal plowers. And the ladies did us very proud, those that were there from Lambton County Council. They won everything. So it was a great day and a very hot day and a lovely meal. So thank you all for supporting the Lambton County 100th plowing match.
Thank you, Councillor Arnold. I echo the same comments. Thank you. Any other business? Councillor Napper.
Don't forget to stay in the hub for lunch.
We will. Thank you. One last call. Any other business? Seeing none, we will move on to notice of bylaws. Please, Mr. Tifo.
Thank you. It is moved by Councillor Broad and seconded by Councillor Cook that bylaws 20 and 21 of 2022 as circulated be taken as read a first and second time.
All in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
It is moved by Councillor Cook, seconded by Councillor Broad, that bylaws 20 and 21 of 2022 as circulated be taken as read a third and final time.
All in favor? That's carried. So I would move that the next County Council meeting will be Wednesday, October the 5th, 2022, with in camera to begin at 9 a.m. So I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Deputy Warden Hand and Councillor Napper, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And, oh, Canada.
the true North Star.